Good morning, everyone. It is Monday, the day after Palm Sunday. But I came to this site here in Andersonville, Georgia. It is a national cemetery, but it is also a POW site. And there's many plaques along here that I want to read to y'all. I can't get into the museum part due to unforeseen circumstances. But at least I will try to take some pictures and video of these plaques. A little bit about Andersonville. It was a Confederate prison during the Civil War. Earlier, I took some video and some pictures of a museum in town called the Drummer Boy Museum, and it shows some of the pictures of how the prisoners were treated here. The prisoners were Union soldiers. I believe our history needs to be taught correctly so it doesn't repeat itself. But I am at this POW site, and there's a POW and MIA plaques, and I wanted to read you some of them. Here we go. Prisoner of War in Korea. 25 June 1950 to 27 July 1953. Freedom is not free. This memorial is dedicated to the memory of many brave Americans who, alongside members of the United Nations forces, sacrificed their lives for freedom's cause while being held as prisoners of war in Korea. Prisoners of war in Korea were subjected to torture, death marches, starvation, solitary confinement, hard labor, exposure to harsh elements, and attempted brainwashing. Due to the inhumane treatment by the enemy, the death rate of prisoners of war in Korea exceeded that of any war in our nation's modern history. Captured 7,140. Died 2,701. Missing in action 8,170 as of 2019. Dedicated to 2009 by the Korean War ex-POW Association. The next plaque, in memory of the officers and men from the 106th Infantry Division who fought in the Battle of the Bulge, which is World War II, many of whom were captured after exhausting their means to resist when surrounded in the Eifel region of Germany, and during actions near St. Vith, Belgium, in December 1944 and January 1945. The USS Pueblo, Ager II, Commander Lloyd Mark Pete Butcher, U.S. Navy, Commanding Officer. On January 23, 1968, the USS Pueblo, Ager II, was attacked and seized in international waters in an unprovoked act of war by North Korea. One crewman was killed, and the remaining 82 crewmen were held prisoner for 11 months. Commander Butcher ordered the crew to undermine North Korean propaganda efforts by using slang words and idiomatic Navy phrases to convey messages which would be understood at home but not by the North Koreans. He also urged the crew to use photo opportunities to present universal finger gestures in defiance and derision, which they did. The crew was severely beaten for these courageous actions. The crew was awarded 12 medals for heroism during the capture and 7 medals for their individual resistance efforts. All crewmen received the Purple Heart for their treatment by the North Koreans. Commander Butcher completed his naval career in 1973. Dedicated to the American defenders of Bataan and Corregidor, Inc. This plaque is dedicated as a tribute to those heroic defenders who fought against overwhelming odds to defend the Philippine Islands against the Japanese imperial forces at the start of World War II. Although engaging in a long and valiant fight, ultimately they had to surrender. Their effort provided added time for the United States to mobilize their strength for final victory in World War II. Most of the defenders were made prisoners of war for the duration. Never has so much been done by so few to preserve our freedom. O'Donnell War Personal Enclosure, 1942, in memory of the American dead, Omni Pro Patria. 12th Armored Division, World War II Association. In honor of our comrades who were POWs and endured deprivation and suffering during our World War II engagement in the European Theater of Operations, November 1944 to May 1945. Their sacrifice will forever be remembered. 12th Armored Division Association, dedicated May 30th, 2000. Again, this is the Andersonville Museum and Prisoner of War site. Here's another plaque, and it says the 8th Air Force Theater of Operations. 8th Air Force casualties, World War II. 26,000 killed, 6,800 wounded, 28,000 captured, 6,200 aircraft lost. In honor of the 8th Air Force, 1942, England to 1945. Dedicated to the 28,000 officers and men honorably captured and held as prisoners of war in service to our nation. They touched the hand of God. Dedicated Memorial Day 2000, the 486 Bomb Group Association. Founded in 1970, the Tiger survivors honor the 65% of the group who lost their lives in Korea from 29 June 1950 to 1 April 1954 as prisoners of war. We also honor those who have died since our release from captivity. Our name comes from the brutal North Korean major who directed our group of soldiers and civilians on a forced death march. We love our country and know that freedom is not free. We salute our brothers and sisters. We love them. They are our heroes and pray that we who have entered into the heritage of their heroism and self-sacrifice may so honor their memory and so preserve and further their high purposes, that this nation which they so gallantly defended may stand in all coming years for the righteousness and peace. Saluting Vietnam prisoners of war. Americans held prisoner during the Vietnam War in captivity longer than any in U.S. history, some for more than 8.5 years. From 1961 through 1973, they were subjected to constant torture and deprivation at the hands of the enemy. Despite barbaric conditions, they endured by supporting each other and their chain of command, never losing faith that the people and the government of the United States would bring them home. Guided by the U.S. Code of Conduct and showing uncommon courage and resolve, Vietnam POWs resisted every attempt by the enemy to break their spirit and morale to achieve their goal. Return with honor. God bless America. Presented by the Red River Valley Fighter Pilots Association. That plaque I see fit for today, being today is National Vietnam War Veterans Remembrance Day. This plaque reads, in honor of the 42nd Rainbow Division, prisoners of war, World War I and World War II. Dedicated to the brave officers and men honorably captured and held as prisoners of war in service to our nation. World War I, there was 122 from that division. World War II, there was 1,174. Last plaque reads, pardon me, since the dawn of our nation, women have supported those who safeguard our freedom. Many have fought alongside their male counterparts. As a result of their service, women have fallen into the hands of the enemy and have been held as prisoners of war. We honor and remember those brave women who served their country and endured the hardship of captivity. The ride home, September 20th, 2013, with the POW Missing in Action. We are not forgotten. Again, everybody, this is the National Prisoner of War site here at the Andersonville, in Andersonville, Georgia, pardon me. Today's a day of remembrance. This trip is a ride to honor and bring awareness to all you Vietnam veterans. I want to thank you. I want to welcome you home. You may have not been treated properly when you came home and you've seen ungodly things, but it's because of you that I could do this today. So on this day, thank you and welcome home, brothers and sisters. Be good to yourself, and may God bless America.